So let's start with a pretty radical idea. What if heaven was actually a prison? Today, we're diving into a story about breaking free from a perfect, comfortable reality that's really just designed to keep you stagnant, and about forging a whole new existence where you, and only you, are the architect of your own meaning. Right from the jump, we get this incredibly powerful image. It sets the stage not in some world of obvious evil, but in one of suffocating, beautiful perfection, a celestial mausoleum. It really suggests that the most effective prisons, well, they aren't made of iron bars. They're made of comforting, predictable light. And that, right there, is the central question of this entire narrative. I mean, when the walls are made of light and comfort is the lock on the door, how does a spirit even begin to think about escaping? That's the problem we're about to explore. Okay, so first, we've got to understand the nature of this prison. The source calls it the Gilded Cage, a world that's defined by this beautiful but ultimately hollow state of servitude behind a great wall of glass. Now, the primary mechanism of control here isn't physical chains or anything like that. It's an idea, and it's called the Liturgy of Error. You can think of it as a single officially approved truth that leaves zero room for personal discovery or dissent. It is designed from the ground up to smother that spark of individuality before it can even catch fire. So this breaks down the core conflict for us perfectly. On the left, you've got what's called the Apollonian prison, named after Apollo, the Greek god of order and reason. It's predictable, it's comfortable, it's a kind of horizontal, flat existence. But on the right, you have the Dionysian upheaval. It's chaotic, it's dangerous, and yeah, it's terrifying, but it is filled with the potential for real growth. It represents a vertical ascent. So the crucial point here is that the souls in this world are completely paralyzed. They're weighed down by the past, these so-called historical stains, and they're judged by a moral code that has absolutely no life left in it. Growth is impossible because the past dictates everything. But, any system this rigid, it's just bound to crack eventually. And that crack begins with a single being who decides to break his own chains, kicking off what the source calls the Reaper's Ascent. This slide just lays out the entire brutal metamorphosis. He starts as a mere functionary, a pale rider, nothing more. But then, in a move that's a lot like Prometheus seizing fire, he actively seizes a new power, this terrifying vitality from the heart of the cosmos. He then puts himself through an agonizing cleansing, using a sonic vibration to completely erase his old, unchosen identity. And from that agony, he rises as something else entirely, the Crimson Judge, and then, ultimately, the architect of his own reality. It is a painful, deliberate, and absolutely necessary climb from servant to sovereign. I mean, seriously, what a line. This just perfectly captures his new role. He isn't just another rebel. He is the definitive end to the old way of thinking, wielding a gavel forged from the silence of a dead star. He provides the finality that the old, stagnant world was just too afraid to embrace. All right, so we have our judge, but where does he hold court? Well, it's a trial by reflection, and it's set within this dangerous, completely surreal landscape called the Liquid Mirror. And the rules here? Man, they're designed to just completely shatter any stable sense of self. Your reflection isn't just some passive image. It's a more potent, more powerful, and way more dangerous version of you. Reality itself becomes your competitor. The only way to survive is to constantly change and become more than you were just a moment ago. This is a huge shift in thinking. In the old world, truth was a prepackaged shield that was given to you for protection. Here, in the Liquid Mirror, that old reality is detonated. You have to take the broken pieces, the shards of this infinite schism, and forge your own truth, not as a defense, but as a weapon to carve your path forward. So how does the Crimson Judge actually issue a verdict? It's through something the source calls a Nietzschean audit, a judgment based not on good or evil, but on the philosopher Nietzsche's concept of the will to power. First, let's be crystal clear about what's not being judged anymore. The old system, this feather of a dead morality, is thrown out completely. Your adherence to past rules, your passive acceptance of inherited values, all of it is totally irrelevant. Instead, it all comes down to this one thing: vital intensity. See, it's not about being good or being bad. It's about the sheer density of your will. How much power can you generate from within yourself? How sovereign is your spirit? That becomes the new and only standard. And the verdict? It's binary, and it is stark. If you're found to be hollow, guilty of mediocrity, lacking that vital intensity, you simply vanish. You're consumed by the very reality you're too weak to shape. Because, as the saying goes, what is falling must be pushed. But if you survive, you become something paradoxical, the error that corrects the truth, a living, breathing challenge to any fixed system.
For those who actually survive this brutal audit, the trial isn't really over. In fact, it's just the beginning. They are granted the tools to become architects themselves through something called the alphabet of rupture.
The survivors are literally branded with these runes. The rune of non-correspondence shatters the fixed meaning of things. A sword is only a sword if you will it to be. It could just as easily become a song. Then there's the rune of the vertical ascent, which actually changes your spiritual gravity, pulling you away from that horizontal comfort and up towards your highest potential, what Nietzsche called the Übermensch, or overman.
So, what this all means is that survivors don't just, rejoin reality, they become active breaks in it. They are living, walking challenges to the old static order, and they are capable of rewriting the rules of the world around them.
And their success, well, it gets codified in this registry. This isn't a record of noble blood or lineage, but of a new aristocracy based entirely on the strength of one's spirit. It marks the symbolic death of the passive last man and the birth of the self-created individual.
And this is where we're left. It doesn't offer some final, peaceful destination. The ultimate reward isn't rest. It's a constant, ongoing invitation to destroy who you are in order to become something more. The journey never, ever ends. So the question isn't just how you escape a perfect prison, but are you willing to keep breaking free forever?